I glad I've been painting cans and dreads.
Oh, seriously?
Hey guys, and welcome to this 9th edition news update video with myself, 6 Plus Stevo. So let's get straight into it. In this Warhammer community article that was released today at the time of filming and hopefully at the time of uploading, tanks are back on track. So yes, we are continuing the focus on vehicles in 9th. And the more news that comes out, it just gets better and better for all us treadheads. So let's take a look at what is said. There are few more enjoyable experiences in games of Warhammer 40,000 than blowing your opponent's forces to pieces with a devastating battle tank, gigantic walker or gribbly beast. Yet some wily enemies will insist upon you ruining your fun by bogging your otherwise unstoppable pride and joy down in melee until it grinds to a halt. No more. That's right, vehicles and monsters of every description are about to become a whole lot more menacing in the new edition, as they'll be able to deal with the pesky attention of enemies within engagement range. That's an important one to remember, that term, engagement range. That's 1 inch to you and me, by shooting them to pieces point blank. Beautiful. So yeah, basically vehicles can shoot at point blank range now, and so yeah, that's really helpful. A big issue with 8th that a lot of people had is that vehicles could be bogged down in combat. You could charge them with some grots and just tie up a tank. Or a big dreadnought or anything. I've done it myself a lot. I've used things like grots as tar pit units before, just to tie up a big nasty vehicle or a big nasty monster and just keep it out of the fight. But it seems like now that's going to be very risky, and it's got the actual rule here itself, which I'm going to brace myself for this because this is a really, really wordy rule. So here we go. Big guns never tire. A vehicle or monster model can make attacks with ranged weapons even when its unit is within engagement range of enemy units, but it can only make such attacks against enemy units that it is within engagement range of. In such circumstances, vehicle and monster models can target an enemy unit even if other friendly units are within engagement range of the same enemy unit. Note that if a vehicle or monster unit has more than one ranged weapon, you can still choose to target units that are not within engagement range of the firing model's unit, but they will only be able to make the attacks with the weapon if all enemy units within engagement range of the firing model's unit have been destroyed when you come to resolve those attacks. In addition, when a vehicle or monster model shoots a heavy weapon, subtract 1 from the hit rolls when resolving that weapon's attacks, while any enemy units are within engagement range of that model's unit. Take a shot every time it says engagement range. Geez, they have worded that horrendously. Maybe I'm just thick, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, this is just, I had to read it several times, and I'm still not 100% sure on the details of it. So let's just break it down bit by bit, and we'll tackle it. Most of it's fairly simple. It's just there's a couple of bits in there I'm like, what? So a vehicle or monster can make attacks with ranged weapons even when its unit is within engagement range of enemy units. So basically, when it's stuck in combat, it can still shoot. That's simple. But it can only make such attacks against enemy units that it is within engagement range of. Okay, so basically it can say it can only shoot at the unit that's in combat with it, basically. It can't shoot at another unit out in the battle. It can't ignore them and continue shooting, basically. But I could have worded that far better myself, personally. But that's not the worst bit. That's not too bad. So then it goes, in such circumstances, vehicle and monster models can target an enemy unit even if other friendly units are within engagement range of the same enemy unit. Okay, so basically, so if so if your monster or vehicle is in combat, but you have another one of your units within that same combat, it can still shoot. Sticking with it so far? Okay. To break this down, so even if you've got a tank and a unit of, let's say you've got a battle wagon and a unit of boys, and they've been charged by some Space Marines, and Space Marines have tied up both the boys and the battle wagon in combat. Because the boys are there, that doesn't stop the battle wagon being able to shoot at point blank range. Okay. Note that if a vehicle or monster unit has more than one ranged weapon, you can still choose to target units that are not within engagement range of the firing model's unit. But they will only be able to make the attacks with that weapon if all enemy units within engagement range of the firing model's unit have been destroyed when you come to resolve those attacks. Let me read that again. Note that if a vehicle or monster unit has more than one ranged weapon, you can still choose to target units that are not within engagement range of the firing model's unit. But they will only be able to make the attacks with that weapon if all enemy units within engagement range of the firing model's unit have been destroyed when you come to resolve those attacks. Okay, so what I think that means, please feel free to correct me in the comments section if I'm wrong on this, but I believe so. Let's say you've got your battle wagon and it is armed with a cannon and some big shooters, and during the shooting phase you say, right, I'm going to split fire. The big shooters are going to shoot at those Space Marines that have attacked it, but the cannon's going to fire over there at that Rhino. So you resolve your big shooting attacks first, and they kill all the Space Marines. Then you are then free to shoot your battle wagon over at the Rhino. If the big shooters do not kill the Space Marines, then the cannon cannot shoot, because you've declared you're going to attempt to shoot over there, but you can't because you're stuck in combat. Okay, that does make sense, but again, geez, the way this is worded, it's just it's a real tongue twister and a mouthful. It's just like, what? Okay, it's just yeah. Okay, but it's good. It makes sense. Okay, so that's good. So yeah, so you could take that risk. You could be like, well, I'm going to shoot everything at this unit, or I really want to kill that unit over there. So let's hope these guns manage to kill them. It makes sense. In addition, when a vehicle or monster model shoots a heavy weapon, subtract 1 from the hit rolls when resolving that weapon's attack, while any enemy units are within engagement range of that model's unit. Okay, last bit's nice and simple. So when they're in combat with you, you are still going to take a penalty. Even though you're able to shoot, you're going to take a penalty of a -1 to hit. Fair play. And that makes sense, because if you're in a tank and you've got enemy crawling all over it, you know, trying to fire in through the hatches, or like stick grenades to you or whatever, it's going to be panicky. It's going to, you know, they're going to be getting in the way of targeting sensors and all sorts of things. It's going to throw them off. So the -1 to hit does make a lot of sense. But still, really good. I mean, I'm thinking of any vehicles armed with scorchers and stuff, or flamers, or automatic hitting weapons are going to be really dangerous to be getting into combat with now. Basically, all the vehicle weapons now count like pistols. as we're used to. You can shoot pistols within the shooting phase, even if you're in combat in current rules. So now vehicles get those same sort of rules. So basically, they all count like basically pistol weapons. It's beautiful, albeit with a -1 to hit. But yeah, absolutely lovely. It says, as you can see, the vehicles and monsters won't have it all their own way. They'll suffer a small penalty to their hit rolls, mainly because their targets will be clambering all over them trying to find a weak spot. Still, if you want to make the most out of this newfound freedom, now's the time to outfit a shiny new vehicle with those heavy flame responsons you've always wanted. Yeah, I'm sure there's loads of people already raiding their bits box and magnetising things and switching out weapons for flamers and scorchers and burners, and yeah, you're going to see a lot of them now, I am sure of it. Of course, if you're a Tyranid player, being able to shoot into combat with all your monsters is just the icing on the cake, as they'll already be sweeping through the enemy ranks with each swing of their scything talons or enormous claws. Nidzilla armies are coming back with a vengeance. Yeah, they are. And not just Nidzilla, but also Dread Mob armies, because they are killing in combat, and now they got the guns firing in combat as well. So things like Death Dreads and Killer Cans and Gorkanauts and Morkanauts have just got a whole lot nastier. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad that it's not just vehicles, that it's monsters as well. And I'm also so glad that it is literally all vehicles. All vehicles. So anything with the vehicle keyword. So think mech guns. That's right. A mech gun is classed as a vehicle. If your mech gun finds itself being attacked, maybe something has teleported across the battlefield and charged one of your mech guns, usually a good tactic to try and get rid of it or tie it up in combat and prevent it from shooting. Well, no more. That mech gun can now fire point blank range in their face. And beautiful. Yeah, it's astounding. And good for us Orc players as well, because we can. This is obviously during the shooting phase, so we can still get our buffs and things like Bad Moons. We can still get our rerolls of 1, and we can still get Daka exploding 6s. It's bloody good stuff, is what it is. And it goes on further, so there's even more good news. But there's more. Check out the new rules for firing heavy weapons on the move. Heavy weapons are amongst the biggest guns on the battlefield, but they require bracing to fire at full effect and are unwieldy to bring to bear at close quarters. This is all very familiar sounding stuff to us, but it does have a very important change. When an infantry model shoots a heavy weapon, subtract 1 from the hit rolls when resolving that weapon's attacks. If the firing model's unit has moved for any reason this turn, e.g. it made a normal move this turn. So now it's just infantry that suffer the -1 on heavy weapons. It doesn't apply to any vehicles anymore. And yeah, that again, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, there's certain weapons I can, and I know this has been a point of contention for a few players through 8th as well, that found it ridiculous that certain things like some walkers and some tanks and things that were fitted obviously with these heavy weapons would suffer this -1. Now a lot of vehicles had it special rule within their data sheet saying, you know, this vehicle can move and fire heavy weapons without any penalty. That's no longer required at all. That's basically an irrelevant rule now. Because this is all vehicles now, and that I think it makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. It's really cool. So yeah, vehicles have got a lot nastier, a lot nastier, and certain weapons are going to be a lot more enticing now. Already, I'm thinking that Grotzukas may be a viable choice again. Grotzukas have been crap for a good while now. They were a fantastic weapon in older editions, and one of my favourite weapons actually, just for the fluff reasons and the look of them. They look really cool. But 8th edition made Grotzukas really crap for things like Killer Cans. Now they could be viable again, because you always had that -1 to hit on them, and you were just like, well, what's the point? I can fit it with rockets or big shooters, and you know, just not have to worry about that. So yeah, again, really good stuff. It says, notice the difference. Only infantry models subtract 1 from their hit rolls when firing heavy weapons after moving. meaning your vehicles and monsters will no longer be affected, nor will bikes or any other form of non-infantry units for that matter. That means your biggest and best units will be free to take the fight to the foe with extreme prejudice. So yeah, bikers and things, and obviously we know we've got things like Primaris bikers and things on the way, so this is obviously going to benefit them massively. But yeah, fitting out some heavy weapons and things like that, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm going to be scouring through my codex now, checking what units are classed as infantry and what units are not classed as infantry now, and taking a look at what heavy weapons I can equip them with. It's fair to say that it looks like tanks, armoured walkers and monstrous creatures will soon be back on top of the damage dealing pile, right where they should be. On the topic of damage dealing, check back with us tomorrow, where we will be revealing exactly what blast weapons are and what they do in the new edition. Let us know which behemoths of choice you'll be looking to obliterate your foes with on our Warhammer 40,000 Facebook page. So yeah, we're getting some news tomorrow concerning blast weapons, and obviously that was a big topic. We're all interested to see what weapons are blast weapons and exactly how that's going to work, because that's going to be another really powerful sort of weapon that is going to be a very popular one. So yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. And but this is really cool. There are certain things that are just going to be absolutely lovely in this. When I read this, the first thing that came to my head was Ghazghkull. Ghazghkull, obviously, when he first was revealed in Saga of the Beast, there was a lot of uproar about him being a monster and the negative effects that has on him. And they've said that they've done all these Psychic Awakening books with 9th edition in mind, and obviously they very well knew that him being a monster is going to be massively beneficial in 9th. So not only now does he have that devastating Claw of Gork that he's going to be devastating opponents with in close combat, but now when you're in combat with Ghazghkull, he's also going to be firing the Roar of Mork point blank in your face, which is it's fantastic stuff. It's fantastic stuff. And just remember, things like Scorchers and stuff, you're not going to have to worry about that -1 to hit. So there are going to be so many things armed with Scorchers now. I've got one of my Crackle, my Death Dread actually, armed with 2 Scorchers. So he's going to be having a lot of fun during 9th edition. And yeah, this is really good, because obviously I've been going with a strong theme for my army, going full on Dread Mob. I've been planning on getting my Gorkanaut painted up as one of the next things to sort of increase my army size. And so yeah, I'm very pleased I've gone with it. I went with it very much as a theme rather than a competitive list as such. But it seems it's getting more competitive now. So yeah, really good news, I think. And I think a lot of people are going to be really pleased about this. There's still a lot more information to learn and stuff. There was still some rumblings about things like melee and stuff becoming better in this edition, or sort of having more punch to it, because at the moment 8th was very much the shooty edition, which I do like overall, but melee armies, horde armies do suffer somewhat, and a lot of the news thus far has got a lot of people very worried with those kind of lists, which covers a lot of Orc players. And so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of rules and things they've got to counter this, because so far we've heard a lot about shooting stuff and vehicles and things. You know, there's going to be even more Dakka spitting across the battlefield, chopping down units left, right and centre. So we're going to need a good boost on the melee side of things, and they haven't really touched on that yet, not in any great detail. So it's going to be very interesting to see if the melee does become stronger in any form, because otherwise melee is going to be left in the dust somewhat. But this is great though. This is great, because when you are in melee, still being able to shoot with a lot of your units is just going to make combat and things so much more risky and so much more devastating. It's really good stuff. But anyway, guys, I am just rambling now, as I always do. Please share your thoughts down below, and please correct me if I've got if I've interpreted those rules wrong. And GW, please try and word your rules a little bit. I don't know. Try and word them a little bit more simplified for the simple people like myself that have trouble reading the English language and understanding it, because geez, that was a mouthful. But thank you very much, guys. Remember, comment down below, hit the like button if you would be so kind, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on the next video. For now, guys, this is 6 Plus Stevo signing out.